Smartphones. One thing in 2024 that everyone has, no matter what the age is. The fact that we can surf the web or watch TikTok or even play a little Rocket League sideswipe and make YouTube videos and Instagram without having to worry about the minutes being wasted is pretty cool. But it wasn't always like that. Let's go back 25 years into 1999 with the Samsung SCH3500. I got this phone with everything and the box included from eBay back in March for $23 plus shipping. Sadly enough though, I tried to find the original price to show you guys how much it was worth when it was new, but the Wayback Machine just would not let me. Let's talk about the design of this phone. I love the flip that this phone has. It's very unique. Samsung has also used this on the N400 in 2002, which I also have and will show in its appropriate part of the video. As you guys can see, it does power on and still works. Well, sorta. As a 25-year-old phone, the battery is bound to deteriorate, and it does indeed surprise me that it even still powers on. Even with the charger, I can't even get the backlight to come on. Gotta love the sound of those ringtones. And just like most phones of the era, no camera, no color screen, no games, just strictly for text and calling. This phone also does have a little mini browser, but yeah, Sprint PCS wireless web was not a thing yet.
Incredible. The wireless internet right here in my hand. News, sports, even Yahoo, all on Sprint PCS.
Don't you just miss the text-only internet days? And when you had AOL on the go? Oh, you couldn't use it until the weekend because your minutes? Oh, yeah, right. Gotcha. Now we go into the year 2000 with the Sanyo SCP-4500. This was my first bar phone in my collection that I got off eBay in June 2023 and would mark the second phone in my collection. What got me to get this phone was that, just like the Samsung, it came with its box and charger, and according to geekobeach.com, this phone sold for a price of $130 when it came out in 2000. And also, what also got me to get this phone was that it was unused. Yes, for 24 years. Like I said with the Samsung, the batteries in these old phones tend to die from age, but luckily all I had to do was take the battery out of this phone and put the charger in. Trust me, when I first got this phone, I tried to power it on with the battery. As you guys can clearly see, the camera is showing the screen in that blue color, but in reality, it's a greenish bluish type color. I don't know why the camera does that. Unlike the previous phone we just talked about, this one has monophonic ringtones. And it has two built-in games. One is the famous Crab Catch, and another one is this casino slot type game. And just like what I said with the Samsung phone, this phone is strictly for calling and texting. And also, can we point out one thing, that this phone actually looks like a house phone? 2000, cell phone wise, I'd say was a pretty normal time. Heck, even in the 90s and downward when it came to these, was a pretty different kind of normal time. People bought phones, called with them, or texted with them, paid for their services to continue on and so forth, until 2001. Sure, companies like Sanyo, Samsung, LG still made phones without color screens even past 2001, but 2001 was the year cell phones with color screens started. This, ladies and gents, is the Sanyo SCP-5150, released in 2001 alongside its brother, the SCP-5000. Sanyo made a breakthrough with this and the 5000, but we're focusing on the 5150. The 5150 has a 128 by 120 pixel color screen that you can personalize, and you can download ringtones via the wireless web, and wallpapers and many more. At the time of its release, this phone would have costed nearly $500 unless you were lucky enough to get one for the price of $399 at the Sprint store when Sprint set that for the price. And it should have been those prices for this phone during its time on the shelves of now defunct Sprint PCS. Heck, these things are rare enough that you'd be lucky to find one on eBay. Sadly enough though, my 5150 actually does not power on. As I told you guys before, these batteries do tend to deteriorate over years, and these phones too. But I did order another one off of eBay, so hopefully getting that new one will actually make this thing power on, because I would love to see this thing run. And then in the year 2002 is when cameras and phones came together. This is the Samsung SPH N400, released in 2002 and sold to Sprint in 2002. This really was a whole new way to look at wireless, hence the quote that the box says on the box. It really was a whole new way to look at phones and at wireless itself. Seriously. And for this one, I actually got the Wayback Machine to give me an actual price on this phone and how much it costed back in the day. If you were to buy this phone back in the day, you would have been looking at almost $180. It would be selling at Sprint for $179. Don't you just love that startup sound? I do love this color screen that this phone has, and I love just how unique it is with this clamshell. And not only that, but is that it does have a rather unique choice of camera. While there is no camera on this phone, there actually is an add-on that you could have gotten with this phone back in the day called the Sprint PCS Vision Camera. It's a camera that works with only this phone and one other phone, and you can take pictures from it. Yeah, see what I mean by what I said in the video earlier? Same design, but one of them just has a color screen. And let's not forget about that crazy chicken. Aside from that crazy chicken ringtone, I think this phone actually does have some rather nice ringtones on it for a phone from 2002. And I gotta say, the games on this phone were pretty interesting here too. Like this monkey ball game that I'm playing where you just roll around with this monkey, like collecting stuff and then reaching the goal. And then we got this Space Invaders game. And then we got this Side Racing game. And honestly, I didn't really like the time being for a certain amount of seconds, but I thought they tried to make it look like an Xbox game to fit on a cell phone was pretty cool. I mean, look at the graphics. It's like way ahead of its time. But if only this phone's graphics limitations would not get in the way and make the game lag like it does here, then yeah, it would be even cooler. Yeah, I just cannot believe what Samsung managed to do with this phone. Like, it's just mind-blowing and amazing what they did with this phone. And with all this technology put and effort put into this thing, I'm actually surprised this phone's not more than $180. I mean, that's gotta be at least $400. And from around the same time as the Samsung SPH N400, Here is my Sanyo SCP-4900 from the same year. And it also has a color screen. But the difference between this and the Samsung is this is just a typical bar phone. No camera, and the functions are basic. And once again, thanks to the Wayback Machine going into the Sprint PCS's old website from 2002, this phone costed $149.99. And oh boy, this phone was definitely worth $149. For $149.99, this phone would have been in my pocket. I mean, this thing is just such a nice phone for a starter. Another reason why I like this phone so much is because it has these animated ringtones. Here. Yeah, other than the fancy ringtones, I only got the one crab catcher game on this phone. And it's pretty much just a colored version of that crab catch game on the 4500 from 2000, but in color. Other than that, that's pretty much it with this phone. It was definitely well worth the $149.99 that you could have gotten back in the day. And I think also you could have downloaded more ringers and games and stuff, but I don't know because I can't use it now, but yeah. In 2006, Sanyo released the first katana. This would be the first katana out of many katanas in the katana series of flip phones here. And this phone would go on to compete with Motorola's Motorola Razr. But as cool as this phone was to me, I think it literally flopped compared to the Razr. And sadly, this would mark the end for Sanyo. just a few years later, they stopped manufacturing phones completely. One thing that I find really cool about the Katana is this animated penguin wallpaper here. All you just gotta do is let the phone go to idle and it'll show. Then eventually it'll fall asleep. A sound that our future generation will never understand. Now let's talk about the camera. Yeah, the camera might not have been good on these phones, but these are really nostalgic to me. There's two ways you can turn the camera on. One is by holding down the volume keys to enable the key guard, and then you hold down the camera key. And then you can open the camera from the small external screen, and then just flip it up if you're ready to take your picture. Say cheese. Gosh, that sound is just so nostalgic to me. Seriously, I remember when my mom had the SCP-3100 back in the day, and it had that same exact shutter sound. And not only can you take just normal pictures, but you can also like add frames and change the color of your photos. And add frames to them. Now that is the coolest thing ever. This is literally Snapchat before it was even a thing, because you can also send these pictures to people on your messages and stuff. The weirdest thing about my phone, my Katana, is that I do have a custom ringer that this phone came with, but it's actually, weirdly, it's actually stored under my pictures. Yeah, I don't think I can show the whole thing, but yeah, here's the ringer's preview one, if you guys want to hear that. This is so cool. And not only that, but we get one more animated ringtone before they officially disappeared forever, because the 3100 and so on actually didn't have any more of these. Then we'll get on over to the games. This is a Midnight Pool game, and it's a demo. Pretty self-explanatory, you know, you just play pool. And then, like, I think once you get the magic 8-ball, that's when the demo ends. Pretty cool. Then we got Mrs. Pac-Man, which is a classic. Then we got a Tetris demo, which pretty self-explanatory. And then last but not least, we got this World Poker Tour demo game. Honestly, guys, I never really cared for this game. I like the other ones, but this one I just didn't really care for. And yeah, again, just like every other game on this phone, this one's a demo. And even though they were demos, don't get me wrong, some of them were definitely still pretty fun to play. Yeah, you guys, I mean, I don't have any phones from like 2011 or so. I do have that HTC, but it doesn't work, and I don't think it's from 2011. But, like, I remember everything like it was yesterday. I remember when the Samsung Galaxies came out and, things like that. But I remember my mom when she had that. It was like this white Samsung phone on Cricket. I don't know what it's called, but it was like a QWERTY keyboard. It would slide up. And it had a camera, but like I don't think it could go on YouTube or anything like that. But I remember it, and I think I remember messing with the camera. And I don't remember if it was a good one or not. But I remember playing on the camera on it. And that phone, I don't know what happened to it, but I'm pretty sure it was a good phone, maybe. It did its job. It called people when my mom made calls with it. And yeah, and I think it had a few games. I think Uno was one of them. There could have been another one, but I'm not positive though. Maybe I don't remember everything, but I remember some of it. And then I remember when my mom got her first Android phone. Pretty sure it was a Zune. Like, it was on Zune or whatever. Or no, not Zune. It wasn't even on Zune. I can't remember the carrier, and I can't remember the phone it was. But it was Android. I know that much. And, like, I remember recording videos with that thing, and it was such a low-quality phone. The camera was, like, low quality. But still, I remember, like, sitting on the couch, and I filmed my Mario game, and I said, New Super Mario Brothers, wee! Like, in my kid voice, because I was a kid at the time. But just from there on out, nothing has really changed at all, ever. I mean, we're still using touchscreens to this very day. Yeah, we still have some flip phones. But they're just not as fun as they were, like, back in the 2000s. Like, they definitely lost their touch a little. Sure, it's great for, like, our elderly people, stuff like that, who don't really like the new stuff. I mean, that I get, definitely. But, yeah, I think that's pretty much the last time phones were ever fun. Like, truly ever fun. Was from, like, 2012 downward. For me. Looking back at it now. Because, like, just nothing's changed about phones any lately, Like, they're still the same. And, yeah, they're not really worth talking about in this video. And, yeah, I think that's where I'm gonna end this video, guys. Phones from the 90s, like the late 90s, all the way through the 2000s to 2012 is when they were truly fun. I miss, like, every second of it. I remember growing up with those flip phones, guys. Like, you don't get that today at all. Like, it's just a done deal. Flip phones are just done. I mean, if they were still making them and Sprint was still around, I would probably go back to using one of those and, maybe using the computer like we should have been to, like, do videos on and stuff like that. But that's just today's world. What can we really do about it, guys? But if you enjoyed this video, guys, leave a like, subscribe,
And be on the lookout, because I definitely am thinking about adding more phones to my collection. More specifically, old phones, because that's what I like the best. But yeah. Anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for watching my version of when phones were fun. And if you guys want me to do more stuff like this, just let me know. And leave a like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.